First speaker for today's workshop is Mr. Ravin Rampersad. He is currently the CEO of the SME Mauritius. He has been operating for more than 25 years at senior management position in the private sector, both locally and abroad. He has also served on the board of directors of most of these private sector companies. Mr. Ravin Rampersad holds a Master in Business Administration and a Master in Marketing and Innovation. He is a Chartered Manager, a Chartered Marketer, and a Fellow of the Chartered Management Institute UK. I have the pleasure to invite Mr. Rampersad to deliver his presentation entitled Innovation from the SME Perspective. Mr. Rampersad, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rangu. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to be part of your panel. I think SME Mauritius has made several contributions with regards to discussions that have been held in the wake of COVID-19, because we want to discuss further. We want to have institutional discussions in order to ensure that it comes to inform policy so that we can, as a common voice, advocate what needs to be done in order to relaunch the SMEs in the post-COVID era. I think COVID is here to stay, therefore, we better adapt ourselves in order to continue working and in order to continue contributing to the economy of our country. With regards to SMEs, it's important to look at SMEs not as a homogeneous group, but rather as a very heterogeneous group. And the fact that they are heterogeneous has implications with regards to their ability to absorb technology, to adapt to new requirements. In Mauritius, we have approximately 140,000 SMEs. They come from diverse industries. They operate in diverse industries. There are diverse industry dynamics, diverse market dynamics, diverse requirements. The SMEs are at different stages of their development. They are at different stages of their life cycle, and operating in a small overtraded market as the Mauritian market, where most of their raw materials and inputs are imported away from logistic hubs, away from main shipping lines, creates a series of challenges for SMEs. With COVID, this has only compounded the different challenges and has increased the necessity for them to readapt to a new routine. I think that it would be fair to say that normal routine of SMEs have been disrupted from inside and from outside. Internally, many SMEs have suffered from disruptions on their own value chains, behavioral disturbances resulting from people, human beings, because this is what drives SMEs. They are more wary. Sanitary measures, the cost base has been disrupted. There have been changes in normality. You have the work from home phenomenon which is gaining ground, and there has been necessity to adapt. Similarly, from outside, there have been lots of changes in the working environment of SMEs. Though they do operate in different sectors, in different industries, along different lines, there have been lots of market changes. To start with, there has been a slowdown as a result of COVID, a slowdown in sales. There have been supply chain disruptions affecting inbound logistics. For those who are exporting, you have had disruptions with regards to external outbound logistics. You have the higher costs of operations, and all this has come to get them into a new paradigm, which they have to review, to adapt, revisit their business models in order to ensure that they survive the difficulties, structural and conjunctural difficulties created by COVID, and they move forward with their progress and their growth. Necessity, therefore, to reinvent and to readapt, which makes today's theme very relevant to the reality that they are living. Now, I would wish to look at how do we get them to take technology on board, the technology intake, the absorption, whether or not there is talent availability, their ability to pay to acquire technology, to maintain this digitalization process. This, of course, has in itself several challenges. Do SMEs have there is a list from OECD which gives you barriers to innovation? Do they have this talent to imitate? Do they have the talent to create? Yes, definitely, I think so. Once they have either created new or the old in a new format, what is the speed at which they are going to take it to the market, and what is the speed at which the market is going to react? All these are determinants as to whether they are going to go for technological changes, continuous changes, adoption of technology on a continuous basis, investment in technology on a continuous basis, because it is only the returns that they will see that will influence them in investing additionally in technology. Many of them have a lack of market information. This lack of market information gets them to be in a position where they cannot really decide on the type of technology that is required. They have funding difficulties. Sales have dropped. Cash flow is very stringent, and they are finding difficulties in their normal business. Therefore, trying to convince them to adopt technology at this stage, which is a necessity, a sine qua non condition, because this is the only thing that is going to improve their efficiency, their productivity at a stage where things are becoming more expensive, when manpower itself may not be available, talent may not be available. These are additional challenges that SMEs are facing. Therefore, I think, yes, SMEs need to readapt. They need to reinvent themselves. There is a lot of work that is being done in order to get them to understand the necessity of reviewing their model of operation. SME Mauritius is conducting a lot of capacity building in order to get them to meet the challenges, the future challenges, and the ongoing challenges that the market is presenting to them, and the new economic environment. So, but I think SME Mauritius alone would not be able to do it on his own. Reason why I sincerely believe that there has to be a joint institutional approach to a national problem into getting them to relaunch their businesses as we move on into this uncertainty that has been created by COVID. Therefore, at SME Mauritius, despite the fact that there are so many difficulties and so many challenges, we do recognize the importance of innovation as a key determinant of productivity and the long-term growth of SMEs. At SME Mauritius, we have been emphasizing for some time now the development of internal strategic resources that they require, for example, their management, their manpower, their ICT, the improvement of their adaptation capabilities. We have got them to accept that technology is not a one-off issue. It requires continuous adaptation and intake. We got them to understand the necessity of promoting collaboration and partnerships, because very often single firms cannot do it alone on the market. Therefore, there needs to be a certain collaboration. Might be not to the extent of killing off their entrepreneurial spirit, but getting them to understand that very often collaboration can bring them more value than pure competition. Therefore, on our side, we are thinking of giving them much more the perspective of innovation as a continuous flow into their system, continuous exchange of information, so that they are in a mood to constantly adapt. There is no doubt that readapting, reinventing is, as I said, a sine qua non condition. This is a given. There is no way getting out of it. SMEs will have to readapt, will have to reinvent. And I think in all sincerity, I think in all honesty, we have to say that they have done so. You would be surprised by the resilience that they have shown. You see, one of the weaknesses of SMEs is that they are small, which makes them more vulnerable. But in moments of they are owner managers at the head of SMEs. The one good thing about it is that in moments of difficulties, as we are facing right now, they are more apt to react faster than bigger systems due to their flexibility, due to their ability of taking on new products at a speed that others cannot. The fact that they are more flexible makes them more adaptable. In other words, what in normal circumstances is considered as a weakness for SMEs at times of difficulties becomes a strength. And this is what we have seen. And this is what has improved, or rather given them additional resilience facing the difficulties that of the post-COVID era. So SME Mauritius is trying to ensure that the adaptation of technology, more a sort of incremental adoption of technology rather than a fully disruptive one for the many, and disruptive ones for the few, those who are really ready. Because it is important to realize that when you take on technology and it is disruptive, there is necessity that you have the backing behind it, the backing in the form of talent, in the form of training, in the form of means, because you're remodeling your whole system. And this is not done overnight. It has to be planned. And it is a conscious choice that can make or break organizations. So on our side, we are laying a lot of emphasis on the development of internal strategic resources. As I said, we have a scheme, the Internal Capability Development Scheme, which looks at productivity improvement, process reengineering, lean manufacturing, coupled with mentoring, hand-holding, in order to allow SMEs to readapt, to change internally. We have a second scheme, which is called Technology and Innovation Scheme, which supports SMEs in acquiring technology that would help them with their efficiency and would help them with their productivity. This covers productive machinery, and it also covers marketing tools, because marketing is such an important element of innovation. If you innovate and you take your product to the market and it does not work out for you, then the chain is broken. There is less likelihood that you would be investing in technology again. So we ensure that the marketing part, not selling part, but the marketing part, along with all the tools that are required, are partly financed by SME Mauritius through the technology and innovation scheme. And we also have the inclusiveness and integration scheme to support SMEs who want to go into collaborative agreements, inclusive agreements, integrative agreements with other SMEs in order to help them join hands to face market realities and market dynamics. This is therefore what SME Mauritius has been doing in the face of the new realities created by COVID, and which we feel is working, because looking at the number of SMEs that have been taking advantage of the schemes that are offered by SME Mauritius, I can give you a figure. It's approximately 700 over the last financial year, and it will be approximately the same number or even more for this financial year. And with regards to number of employees that they have, it is in excess of 4,000 employees that these SMEs have, and their turnover is in excess of 3.5 billion rupees. So I think up to now, we have done a lot with regards to helping SMEs reinvent and readapt, but there is a long, long road ahead. And we hope that by joining hands with other institutions, we'll be able to meet the challenge. This was my intervention, and I thank everyone around the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ravin Ramparsad, for your excellent presentation. You have put into perspective the different challenges the SMEs are facing, the opportunities by using technology, and how they can convert their weaknesses into strengths, and how the SME Mauritius is trying all its best to support the SME sector by capacity building, providing capacity building, making the SME to reinvent and readapt themselves, and also for the development of internal strategic resources and for the marketing, right? So lots of suggestions you have given to the entrepreneur, right? I thank you very much, Mr. Ramparsad. And our next speaker for today's session is Dr. Vikram Biswanath. He's from the Mauritius